Most men don't think about their shower temperature. It's just comfortable. You turn the dial to where it feels good, you stand there for a few minutes, and you step out feeling clean. Nothing unusual, nothing worth questioning. But here's what most men over 50 don't realise. That same comfortable routine, repeated day after day, year after year, may be quietly teaching your blood vessels to stop responding. Not immediately, not dramatically, just gradually. I'm Dr. Emily Carter, and I've spent over a decade working with men who come to me confused. They say their energy isn't what it used to be, their circulation feels slower, their recovery takes longer. And when we start looking at their daily habits, one pattern shows up more often than you'd think: the way they shower. Now, I'm not talking about hygiene, I'm talking about temperature. Because your blood vessels, the highways that carry oxygen, nutrients and hormones to every part of your body, they're designed to respond to change. Heat makes them expand. Cold makes them contract. That back and forth, that flexibility, it's how they stay strong. But when you remove that challenge, when you give them the same warm, comfortable signal every single day, something starts to happen. They adapt. They stop working as hard. And over time, they forget how to react at all. This isn't something you feel right away. That's the problem. Your body compensates. It finds other ways to keep things moving. But eventually, the compensation stops working. And by the time men notice, the pattern has been in place for years. Let me explain what I mean. When you step into a hot shower, your body responds immediately. Your blood vessels dilate, blood rushes to the surface of your skin. You feel relaxed, warm, almost sedated. That's your nervous system switching into rest mode. It's telling your body everything is safe, no danger, no stress, just comfort. And for a few minutes that feels perfect. But here's the issue. After 50, your vascular system is already changing. The walls of your arteries become stiffer. The smooth muscle inside them, the part that controls dilation and constriction, it starts losing tone. Nitric oxide production, the key molecule that keeps blood vessels flexible, it drops by about 10% every decade. That means your vessels are already working harder just to maintain the same level of function they had 10 years ago. And when you add a daily hot shower on top of that, with no contrast, no cold exposure, no challenge, you're essentially telling your vascular system, don't bother adapting, don't bother staying sharp. Think of it like this. If you spent every day sitting in a recliner, never standing, never walking, your leg muscles would weaken. Not because you're old, but because you stopped using them. Your blood vessels work the same way. When they're only exposed to warmth, only given one signal, they stop training, they stop responding. And slowly, they lose their ability to regulate blood flow efficiently. This is where men start noticing changes they can't quite explain. Maybe their hands and feet feel colder than they used to. Maybe their energy dips in the afternoon and never really comes back. Maybe their morning readiness, the kind they used to wake up with naturally, it's just gone. And when they mention this to their doctor, they're usually told it's age. Circulation slows down, hormones drop, it happens. But what most men don't hear is that those changes aren't inevitable. They're accelerated by habits. Small, daily habits that seem harmless, but quietly shift the body's ability to regulate itself. Now let's talk about what happens when you introduce cold water into the equation. Not freezing, not unbearable, just cool. When cold water hits your skin, your body reacts immediately. Blood vessels constrict. Blood is pushed deeper into your core to protect your vital organs. Your heart rate increases slightly. Your nervous system switches into alert mode. And then, when you switch back to warmth, your vessels dilate again. Blood rushes back to the surface. Oxygen delivery improves. Waste products are flushed out. That back and forth, that vascular workout, it's what keeps your circulatory system responsive. Studies on cold exposure and vascular health show this clearly. Men who regularly expose themselves to temperature contrast, whether through cold showers, cold plunges, or alternating hot and cold water, maintain better arterial flexibility. Their blood pressure stays more stable, their nitric oxide levels remain higher, and their circulation, even into their 60s and 70s, performs more like someone a decade younger. But here's the part most men miss. You don't need to suffer. You don't need to stand under freezing water for 5 minutes. You just need to introduce contrast. 30 seconds of cool water at the end of your shower is enough to signal your vascular system. Stay active, stay flexible, don't shut down, because that's what's happening when you avoid cold entirely. Your vessels aren't just staying comfortable, they're shutting down. They're losing the ability to respond to stress, to temperature change, to the natural demands of circulation. And when that happens, everything downstream starts to slow. Your energy, your focus, your recovery, even your performance in areas you don't talk about openly. Now, I know what some men are thinking. I've been showering this way for 40 years. If it was a problem, I'd know by now. But that's the issue with vascular decline. You don't know. Not until it's already been happening for years. Because your body is brilliant at compensating. It finds workarounds. It redistributes blood flow. It pushes harder to maintain the same results. But eventually, those workarounds stop working. And when they do, the changes show up all at once. Fatigue that doesn't go away. Cold extremities. Brain fog. Reduced stamina. And yes, changes in circulation that affect your confidence, your relationship, your sense of vitality. And by then, the question isn't whether something changed. It's why no one connected the dots earlier. Let me give you an example. I had a patient, early 60s, who came to me complaining about persistent fatigue. He said he'd been to 3 doctors. They ran blood tests. Everything looked normal. Testosterone was fine. Thyroid was fine. No red flags. But he still felt off. His energy was low. His mornings were flat. He couldn't explain it. So I asked him about his routine, his diet, his sleep, his exercise, and then I asked him about his shower. He looked at me like I was joking. He said, "What does that have to do with anything? I shower every morning. Hot water. 5 minutes. Same thing I've done my whole life." And that's when I explained what I'm explaining to you now, that his blood vessels had been living in a single temperature zone for decades. No challenge, no contrast, no reason to stay responsive. And over time, his circulation had quietly downgraded. Not because of disease, but because of habit. I suggested he try something simple. End his shower with 30 seconds of cool water. Not cold, not uncomfortable, just cooler than what he was used to. He thought I was crazy, but he tried it. 2 weeks later, he called me. He said he didn't know if it was placebo, but he felt different. His mornings felt sharper. His energy lasted longer. He even noticed his hands didn't feel as cold during the day. That's not placebo. That's physiology. That's his vascular system waking back up. Now, I'm not saying this is a miracle cure. I'm not saying it fixes everything. But what I am saying is this. Your blood vessels are designed to be challenged. They're designed to adapt, to flex, to respond. And when you remove that challenge, when you give them comfort every single day without variation, they stop performing the way they should. And here's where it gets more serious. This isn't just about energy or cold hands. This is about long-term vascular health. Because the same vessels that supply your extremities, they also supply your heart, your brain, your kidneys. And yes, the tissues responsible for male function. When those vessels lose their flexibility, when they stop responding efficiently, the effects are systemic. Blood pressure becomes harder to regulate. Oxygen delivery decreases. Waste removal slows down. And the tissues that depend on strong, steady circulation, they start to underperform. This is why some men notice that their recovery after exercise takes longer. Why their mental clarity dips in the afternoon. Why their sleep feels less restorative. It's not one dramatic event. It's a slow, quiet decline in vascular responsiveness. And most of the time it goes unnoticed until it's already deeply embedded. Now, let's talk about what this means for your nervous system, because temperature exposure doesn't just affect your blood vessels. It affects your autonomic nervous system, the part of your body that controls stress response, heart rate, digestion, and yes, arousal. When you expose yourself only to warmth, your body stays in a parasympathetic state. Relaxed, calm, almost sedated. That's fine for short periods, but when it becomes your baseline, your body loses the ability to shift gears. It forgets how to activate, how to respond to challenge, how to engage. Cold exposure, even brief cold exposure, flips that switch. It activates your sympathetic nervous system. It sharpens your focus. It increases circulation. It tells your body, wake up, respond, perform. And when you do this regularly, your nervous system stays more balanced. You're not locked into one mode. You can shift between relaxation and alertness more smoothly. Your energy feels more stable throughout the day. Your mood improves. Your body feels more responsive, more alive. But when you avoid cold entirely, when you stay in that warm, comfortable zone year after year, your nervous system loses that flexibility. It becomes sluggish, reactive, less capable of adapting to stress or challenge, and that shows up in ways most men don't connect. Anxiety, irritability, reduced stress tolerance, even changes in libido and performance. Because your body isn't just responding to what you do, it's responding to what you've trained it to expect. And if you've trained it to expect only warmth, only comfort, only ease, then that's what it delivers. Nothing more. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not telling you to punish yourself. I'm not saying you need to suffer through ice baths or freezing showers. What I'm saying is that your body needs contrast. It needs variation. It needs to be reminded that it's still capable of adapting, of responding, of performing under challenge. And the simplest way to do that is to end your shower with cool water. Not for 5 minutes, not until you're shivering, just 30 seconds, long enough to feel the shift. Long enough for your blood vessels to contract and then release. Long enough for your nervous system to activate and then reset. That's it. That's the signal. And over time, that signal compounds. Your vessels stay more responsive. Your circulation improves. Your energy stabilizes. And your body starts to remember what it felt like to perform at a higher level. But here's the part most men struggle with. It's uncomfortable, not painful, just uncomfortable. And in a world where comfort is constantly available, where everything is designed to be easy, that discomfort feels like something to avoid. But discomfort isn't your enemy. Stagnation is. Because when you choose comfort every single day, when you remove all challenge from your routine, your body adapts to that too. It adapts by slowing down, by conserving energy, by reducing output, and eventually, by performing at a level far below what it's actually capable of. And the hardest part is this. You don't notice it happening. It's so gradual, so subtle, that by the time you realise something has changed, you've already forgotten what it felt like to feel different. You accept the fatigue, you accept the slower recovery, you accept the reduced vitality. You tell yourself it's just age, it's just how it is now. But it's not just age, it's adaptation. Your body is adapting to the signals you give it every single day. And if the signal is always warm, always comfortable, always the same, then your body will adapt to that. It will downregulate. It will conserve. It will perform at the minimum level necessary to get you through the day. And that's when men start to feel like they're losing something they can't quite name. Not sick, not injured, just less. Less energized, less focused, less responsive, less vital. And they don't know why. So here's what I want you to consider. Not as medical advice, not as a prescription, just as something to think about. The next time you shower, before you step out, turn the water cooler. Not freezing, just cool. Stand under it for 30 seconds. Breathe slowly, let your body react, and then step out. Notice how you feel afterward, not immediately, but over the next hour, over the next few days, over the next few weeks. Notice if your energy shifts, if your focus sharpens, if your body feels more awake, more responsive, more capable. Because what you're doing isn't just changing your shower, you're changing the signal you send to your vascular system. You're reminding it that it still needs to adapt, to respond, to perform. And when you do that consistently, your body starts to remember what it's capable of. But if you don't, if you keep choosing comfort, keep avoiding challenge, keep giving your body the same warm, easy signal every single day, then your vascular system will keep adapting to that too. It will keep slowing down, keep losing responsiveness, keep declining in ways you won't notice until it's too late to reverse easily. The body always adapts. The question is, what are you training it to adapt to? Most men don't realise how much control they still have. They assume that age determines everything, that decline is inevitable, that once things start slipping, there's nothing you can do. But that's not true. What you do every day, the small, seemingly insignificant choices you make in your routine, they're constantly shaping how your body performs. And your shower is one of those choices. It's quick. It's easy. It's something you do without thinking. But it's also one of the most consistent signals you send to your circulatory system. And if that signal is always the same, if it never challenges your vessels to respond, to adapt, to stay flexible, then over time, they won't. And by the time you notice, the pattern has been in place for years, maybe decades, and undoing it becomes harder. Not impossible, but harder. So the question isn't whether cold water is good for you. The question is whether you're willing to introduce just enough discomfort into your routine to keep your body from forgetting how to perform. Because comfort is easy. Comfort is available everywhere. But comfort, when it becomes your only option, when it becomes the default for everything you do, it quietly trains your body to expect less, to do less, to be less. And most men don't connect those dots until they're sitting in a doctor's office, trying to figure out why they feel so different from the person they used to be. The body doesn't forget overnight. But it does forget. And it forgets in the direction of whatever you teach it. If you teach it comfort, it will optimize for comfort. If you teach it challenge, even small challenge, it will optimize for performance. Your circulation, your energy, your vitality, they're not locked in by age. They're shaped by habit. And the habits you keep today are writing the script for how your body will perform tomorrow, next month, next year. So before you step out of your next shower, take 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. And ask yourself, am I training my body to adapt, or am I training it to decline? Because the answer to that question is being written every single day, whether you're paying attention or not.